Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. Whoa. You're probably like, Matty, are you okay? Where are you right now? There's no glowing bookshelf behind you with anime figures. I'm in the Retro Rebound recording room. For those who don't watch that channel, this is probably very different for you. But today's video is very Retro Rebound in spirit. So I thought it would be the perfect room to record this video in, where we're going to be reminiscing on one of the GOATs, Fallout 3. I've been in that Fallout mood. Those rumors of New Vegas 2 and Fallout remasters had me thinking about this game, and I thought to myself, it's time to break this bad boy open again and just reminisce in the spirit of Retro Rebound. Just go back, open the complete in-box copy, talk about the video game. So join me on this trip down memory lane, not Tranquility Lane, and let's discuss Fallout 3. So as always, and for those of you who watch Retro Rebound, you know what we do over there, but we like to take a complete in-box copy like this here for Fallout 3, and I'm going to show you it just like it was back in 2008 when you yanked it off the store shelf and you went, this guy looks pretty cool. What's on the inside? We're going to bring you back that way, and then we're going to bring you back via the gameplay memories. So let's start off by reading the back here, where it says, prepare for the future. From the creators of the award-winning Oblivion comes Fallout 3. Let's just pause there. That's awesome to read nowadays, right? Think of how far they've come and in some ways how they've floundered. From the creators of Oblivion. Nowadays, it's always from the creators of Skyrim. So these were the pre-Skyrim days, featuring one of the most realized game worlds ever created. I agree with that. Create any kind of character you want and explore the open waste of a post-apocalyptic Washington, D.C. Every minute is a fight for survival as you encounter super mutants, ghouls, raiders, and other dangers of the wasteland. It has the power of choice. Are you good or evil? We'll talk about that. Certainly. Blast them away with VATS, rain death and destruction with an all-new cinematic combat presentation. Yeah, we gotta get into that. And then limitless freedom. Visit towns, battle through DC, or explore the wasteland in first or third person. Cracking it open. This is where I miss Bethesda Game Studios releasing games. They had awesome copies. Now, I know I'm breaking the rules here. I got a PS3 copy. This is the worst version of Fallout 3 imaginable. But y'all remember that Road to Platinum series I did on this channel back in 2015? Yeah, those were the days, right? And I had to go through this glitchy mess on that console. But the complete in-box copy for this game is sick. So first things first, it comes with a couple of pamphlets that I really loved. Like this one here. Remember this poster? This thing is in mint condition, so I'm going to fold it back up once I'm done showing you all. But they had the Vault Boy perk poster that would come with your copy of the game if you bought a brand new copy. I actually bought this brand new copy from GameStop, I want to say 4 years ago. So this was still being packaged in new copies of the game ever so recently. What's also really cool is it comes with this, a map of the Capital Wasteland. I love when games do this. Just on a side note, I love when games come with maps because I've actually explored game worlds using these that come with the game. It's a really cool interactive way to explore things. And Bethesda's always like that. Remember with Fallout 4, they had the Pip-Boy app. I used that one time and I was like, wearing this Pip-Boy while I'm holding the Xbox controller is kind of uncomfortable. So I'm not going to do that anymore. But as you can see here, it's split up into 9 different zones on the map, and it has all the locations on the bottom with a legend to help you figure out where everything is. And then on the back here is the Metro map. And obviously the Metros were laid out in a very confusing fashion. So yeah, we're thankful for this one, aren't we? So it comes with those two things, which is awesome. Again, these are like in mint condition, so I'm going to keep them inside the game box and not hang them up. But I love the manual for this game because it's in the spirit of the vault. Now, unfortunately, the inside of the manual is, man, what is this? Where are my controls and my guidance on the video game? But at least the front has some type of visual flair, because if you watch Retro Rebound, you know I'm quite critical of these video game manuals. Anyway, this is what you'd get from a copy of Fallout 3 if you were to yank it off store shelves back in 2008, complete with all that stuff, and it's got that nice meaty feeling when you hold it. You're like, there's stuff in here. So that's the complete in-box copy. Now let's reminisce on the video game. Let's start off with story time. This game, oh my God. I can't believe that there was a time I hated Fallout 3. Would you believe that now? It's funny. Like when I read stuff about me involving the Fallout franchise, it's typically not positive because I like the series a lot. So people get really pissed off about that. But I adore Fallout 3 now. But there was a time when I first bought it that I hated it. I played it. I was like, I don't get why people like this. I think this, quite frankly, sucks. It's confusing. It's messy. It's ugly. And, you know, normally when we walk away from a game like that, you do have the open-mindedness to at least come back again when you hear so many good things about it. And it's amazing because there wasn't like a moment where a switch flipped and I was like, yeah, you know, maybe I was just too young at the time, because the first time I played it was, I want to say 7th grade. So I was like 12, 13. And it was only a couple of years later that I fired it back up for the first time and played it in 2009, I want to say, when they did the Game of the Year edition. And it was there when I played it, I was like, oh, I really like this. And I think it's because I got Oblivion under my belt. I fell in love with Bethesda Game Studios. Then I dove into Fallout 3 afterwards because it was more of BGS. And then I fell in love with the world that Fallout is, because I think Bethesda's translation from isometric RPG to open world RPG does not get commended enough. I really well and truly believe that, because I know we all love New Vegas, Obsidian. I made a video on it already, don't worry, talking about how I think it's the perfect RPG. But Bethesda doesn't get enough credit for setting up the framework for future Fallout games that works really well. Do I want to see another isometric Fallout game like from inXile, the developers of Wasteland 3? Of course. Oh my God. Like, I'd be so over the moon with that. But Bethesda defined Fallout to the mainstream in a way that I don't think sacrificed the DNA of what makes a Fallout game good. And in a lot of ways enhanced it. Like the radio, what a wacky, zany idea. How does that even get pitched inside the studio? How do you sit there and go, okay, so we've got this game with, let's go through it, mutants, death, destruction, vaults experimenting on people, nukes everywhere. What else we got? Robots, laser guns. Let's put 50s music in here. Yeah. And oh, you can listen to it whenever you want. We'll override this whole soundtrack that we made that's very moody and atmospheric, and we're going to change the whole vibe of the game. Like, how do you not only do that, but then go through the licensing to make it happen and completely greenlight it? Obviously now, because we're familiar with it, we know it works, but what was the initial concept that made them go, let's do this? Because obviously in some of the initial trailers from the beginning Fallout games, Fallout 1, 2, you could see like the retro America propaganda based in a much earlier like 1950s style. So there was a flair there from the get-go. Shout out to Interplay for establishing that. But the way Bethesda, I thought, carried the torch was just phenomenal. And they defined it in ways that are cornerstone moments for me and many others in video games in general, all in one title. I think, of course, of the most iconic moment in Fallout 3 to me, which is going to Tranquility Lane. It really, I feel, defines what I was talking about with the soundtrack in Fallout 3. This moment of, this shouldn't work, but it does, right? You're walking through a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Suddenly, you're in this black and white simulation. Everything's okay. The music's nice and cheery. And there's apparently like a serial killer maybe on the loose, and you have to break the simulation in a number of ways. I just really love the creativity that they have here. And it's why so many people were disappointed with Fallout 4, because Fallout 4, I thought, did a lot of great things, but you had things like the memory den in Fallout 4 that just felt, you were so close, you had an idea here, and you didn't do anything with the gameplay in there. You came up short. Where Fallout 3 felt like every idea was efficiently used and maximized to even more grander choices. Like, of course, the fate of Megaton. Do you blow up the nuke? Do you not? Do you watch it happen from the 10-penny tower? Or do you disarm it yourself and ally yourselves with the people of Megaton? Of course, we've all done the evil karma choice there. And I know that's a big issue with Fallout fans, is how karma works, because it's effectively a bar that you could maximize by giving a homeless person water versus completing a quest line where you saved an entire civilization and they reward the same amount of points generally. And it kind of feels like a wonky system. It's too gamified, and that's definitely a flaw in it. But I think the concept of good and evil is captured here really well. For all the nuanced choices that I think Obsidian did really well with New Vegas, to me, Fallout 3 always spoke to me more because it was about the good and evil of men. Like, the whole series is based on that. The selfishness and greed of men has brought us to this point of total atomic annihilation. And now we're living in this world where man is still selfish, but you can choose to not be selfish, or you can continue to be so. Obviously, there is a clear gray area for Fallout that works really well, but I like how this game just likes to go back and forth on that. So there are moments like that that stand out, but there's nothing more memorable, I'd say, than the step out moment. When you walk out of Vault 101, greeted by the world that's so destroyed and ugly, yet at the same time beautiful, because you as the gamer know I can explore all that. And it was one of the truest moments of see that go there. And it defined Bethesda Game Studios as a whole, right? You think of Oblivion, you stepped out of a prison cell into what was a beautiful sight into its own, but you're very much almost in the middle of nowhere in Oblivion, which I like. It's not trying to present to you this beautiful shot upon exiting a prison. That would make no sense. They're like, you're just out here right now. Whereas with Fallout 3, the step out moment was the world presenting itself to you and saying, come see what I'm full of. And there's secrets tucked around every corner. I think a lot of Fallout fans share this with me, where I play this game pretty often and I still go back from time to time. And when I do a full playthrough, I'll find something new, something I've never seen before, or something that was buried so deep in my memory I forgot about it because there were so many other highlights in the game that it felt new. Because it's funny, you look at a game like, I'd say, Far Cry 6. You look at a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I don't want to beat up on Ubisoft too much in this video, but you look at these games that are defined by many reviewers as active open worlds that are beautiful and lively because NPCs harass you endlessly. And it's so weird to me that a game like Fallout 3 feels more alive than any of those types of open world games. It's just the special level of interaction that only Bethesda Game Studios manages to channel into their games that I think speaks to me in a very particular audience. It's the way that when you're in first person, you can pick up items and you can add anything to your inventory, to being able to talk to anybody. Obviously, we've seen those features be added to games outside of Bethesda Game Studios, but for me, like, they just do it so well, right? There's a Bethesda stink, if you will, on all of their video games, and I really feel like a lot of us fell in love with it with this game here. Of course, the torch was carried quite well with Obsidian afterwards, but let's talk about VATS, right? Let's just keep bouncing off the walls here. Let's talk about VATS. Oh my gosh. Again, I don't think Bethesda gets enough credit for reinventing what a first-person shooter could do, like targeting specific body parts. Like, it's a bad first-person shooter by all means. Yes, it's not good, but the way that they made it where you can pause real time and shoot their leg and blow it out from under them, or watch them stumble and they're limping towards you. For 2008, like, this was a moment, right? This was a moment. And then you look at things like when you have the bloody mess perk and you target their head and it's like, boosh, it's a blood shower. Obviously sadistic, but again, speaking to this very random nature that Fallout really is. To the first and third person exploration, again, I commented on how I felt the translation from isometric to open world was great, but they could have just made it first person, but they made it third person so you could see your character. Like, to me, what differentiates Fallout 3 from, say, even 4, a game I really like, and of course 76, is it felt like from the start when they inherited the license for Fallout 3, there was a vision. Like, they saw it and they said, I know what I want to do with this, and we're gonna do it, and hopefully it goes well. And it did go well. I feel like Fallout games have done it because, like, it's expected. And obviously, as someone who's clamoring for a new Fallout game, I get it, right? Like, we're asking for new Fallout. Hopefully they're gonna deliver new Fallout, and they did do that with Fallout 4 with 76. But as the releases went on, excluding New Vegas, it didn't feel like there was a true vision. It was just more Fallout, more of what we knew, not like what Fallout 3 was, which reinvented things. A lot of people give me grief for preferring this game over New Vegas, and I've never understood that, because while New Vegas is a better RPG, I am always of the mindset that New Vegas could not exist without this game, because Bethesda Game Studios, for all their flaws, for everything that people want to critique them for, they built all of the systems that New Vegas utilizes. And New Vegas just had to make assets for whatever New Vegas would be. They didn't have to think of the dialogue system. They didn't have to think of how world exploration would be, how gameplay would be. Like, everything was handed to them. That's why the game was made so quickly in like a year and a half. We will never see a game like New Vegas again because of the partnership that was created there. And that's why those two games share such a special relationship. And I never understand the fighting between 3 and New Vegas, because it's like they both can't exist without one another. They are brothers, if you will, sisters, whatever. And so I just wanted to celebrate this game here in this video here today. So that's enough from me. I've glorified Fallout 3 enough. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, I pass it off to you. What do you think about Fallout 3? I already know the answer, but are you feeling a little nostalgic with me? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.